thank you so much for joining us today. What is the best outcome for conservative Republicans in this fiscal trajectory of the next 6, 7, and 8 weeks? For those that are frugal and have frugal constituents, what's the best outcome?
Well, I mean, ideological concerns are different when you have a house fire, and what we have is a major house fire here. So we've got to get that righted and then get back on a solid footing here. So for me, I think the approach is how do you get people back in employment in a safe and effective way? So the first piece there is health safety. Without health safety, nothing else matters. So we have to have substantial funds so that we can have a pipeline of treatment options that have been borne out by scientific proof, as well as potentially a vaccine. You get that right, which of course requires a substantial amount of government money with the private sector innovation. And then you get to the question of a rehiring bonus and tax policy that incentivizes businesses to get back in the risk business, to safely reopen, to take the proper risks, and to know that they have a foundation upon which to take that risk. So I think that's really important. So rehiring bonuses would be substantial and helpful, and a tapering down or elimination of these overly generous in major parts of the country federal benefits for unemployment. I think the combination of a bonus for rehiring and tapering down that unemployment benefit would be smart policy.
Congressman, are you getting frustrated by the lack of clarity, the lack of details that you're getting from this administration in the month of July?
Yes. Look, we had a great result with the CARES Act. We saw Pelosi and the House Democrats produce a partisan bill that got no Republican votes. They even lost Democrat votes. It was so far to the left. So that's not a serious point of discussion. What we want to hear is that agenda set so we can have Trump economy too. We just came off of the best economy in most of our lifetimes. And the policy set that we implemented there gave support to what was happening in the private sector and lifted us to new heights. Let's put that agenda out. Let's be bold about it. Let's hear from the White House on the details so that we can go iron out the policy on the Hill. That's really what I want to hear. And it has been frustrating that we haven't had that detail set yet.
Congressman, why are they dragging their feet? What's the reason behind it at the moment from your standpoint? And is it making it difficult in your constituency to talk to your constituents about why there isn't a plan beyond the month of July?
Well, look, it's complicated because everything has changed. You like the best health experts in the world were saying that summer was going to sort of take this thing down like the flu season. And that was just a couple months ago. We had health experts tell us not to wear masks at the beginning of the year. So the idea that you're going to see 2 months or 3 months in the future in this environment is really hard. So I think there's some understanding that we wanted to be hesitant to just lay out a whole broad policy path before we actually understood the confines of this. Now, we're in July. We need to see that clearly from the administration, and we need to see clearly from states and localities about school reopening, because that's a vital economic set as well. If you can't have child care, it's very difficult for you to get back to some semblance of normal economic life.
Congressman, you're talking about a lack of cohesion and a lack of certainty around what the policies, the specific detailed policies are going to be going forward. And yet you're also, you've admonished Fed Chair Jay Powell for perhaps blurring the lines between monetary and fiscal policy. Some argue that because there hasn't been a faster fiscal policy, it has forced the Federal Reserve to act more and in more varieties that go closer to fiscal policy to make up for that gap. What do you say about that? I mean, do you think that you have been too slow and forced the Fed to act more aggressively?
Not yet. If we screw this up in late July and August, I think that will be the case. But I don't see that. What I was reminding when we have the Secretary of the Treasury before my committee and the Chair of the Federal Reserve, I always remind them that there is this wall between monetary policy and fiscal policy, and the Hill should not get into the weeds of monetary policy, nor should the Fed chair direct fiscal policy. And I got to tell you, Jay Powell gets high marks for his fast fast action, and being very foresighted. His foresight is just absolutely amazing in this environment.
Right.
And when they laid out Main Street lending, it took a long time to get that ramped up, but it was very clear sign to policymakers on the Hill that we've got the lending piece. You guys get in the stimulus piece. You guys get people connected with their employment, and you get people off the unemployment rolls or give them support so they can get back into the economy. And that's something that we hear clearly. So I think they've picked their lane smartly. I think they've stayed in their lane smartly, however, really aggressively. And over the long term, we're going to have these Fed programs pulled back from the economy. But at this stage, we're still trying to put this house fire out.
Congressman, we need to get down to Asheville and do a remote down there. Team surveillance, Asheville, North Carolina. I can see it now. Patrick McHenry, thank you so much. The 10th Congressional District of North Carolina. John.